Hello everyone, Magdalena here, Wolf of Kinds. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I will be talking about Slavic rain magic. And while the last video on Slavic topics I made, the pre-Christian Slavic divination was based mostly on Western Slavs and on written chronicles from around 11th or 12th century. Today I will be focusing more on the Southern Slavs and on ethnographic records that we have from much later periods. And this is only because this is what we have. With Slavic mythology and traditions, it's all like a big puzzle that we are trying to put together. But again, when we dig deep into it, it turns out that there are elements that are so persistent and so common to all Slavic lands that it's actually surprising. The rituals I will be talking about today were recorded many centuries after Christianity arrived to those lands, but they seem so ancient that it's very probable that they were almost unchanged from the pagan times, and they are fascinating. It seems that the general idea was to ask for rain from celestial deities, which is logical because as they are above, then they can send rain that falls down. But when it didn't work, there was also a plan B to ask for help from the chthonic deities, so related to earth and underworld. It's noteworthy that a similar approach of combining like both areas of the supernatural world was used in divination that I talked about in this previous video, number 213. If you're curious, you can check out. And this is like a couple of centuries between these two and different lands, because divination, as I said, Northwestern Slavs, and today mostly Southern Slavs. So, in general, the giver of the rain was Pierun, the thunder god, and also his servants. In Poland, they were called Płanetnik, Chmurnik, Obłocznik, and many other names too in various Slavic lands. The name came basically from the name for cloud, because they took care of clouds. Pierun fought the great serpent. This is like a very Indo-European motif. We can find in many other cultures like Nordic, Greek, and also Indian. So yeah, these were the enemies, opponents, the thunder god and the serpent. So when he defeated, and the serpent would capture the waters and hold them captive. So the thunder god had to release them. And when he did, the rain fell. Many scholars see in the serpent, god Veles in his animal form. And similarly, like the minions or servants of Pierun, they took care of the clouds that had people imagined the clouds to be like those serpents, heavenly serpents that had to be caught and squeezed so the rain would fall down. Yeah. So there are records from Bulgaria that in order to call rain for good vegetation this year, people would do offerings of eggs and pray under an oak tree, which is a tree of Pierun, and also do a ritual of so-called hunting the serpent. Why are you doing this to me, computer? Guess what? My computer wanted a restart. So yeah, in Serbia, the anti-serpent ritual was called Vrzino Kolo. In Serbia, the anti-serpent ritual was called Vrzino Kolo, which means spinning wheel. And I'm sorry if I mispronounce any of the words. I'm doing my best. So it was performed in a dancing circle. And there is a record from 1908 from East Serbia that at night of 21st or 22nd of July, which is incidentally close to July 20th, which is in Russia today, is the holiday of Perun, because it was also a holiday of Saint Ilya, who is one of the Christian figures that inherited Pierun's prerogatives. So, yeah, anyway, East Serbia, 1908, people gathered around a bonfire, and they picked a Tsar, or a ruler, a king, who took off his clothes. And then all of the other participants also took off their clothes. It often happens that you do magic without, sky-clad, so-called, without clothes. And then they formed a dancing circle. And then they danced. They didn't sing or say anything, but the musicians would play, and they would dance until the musicians got tired. When the music died, they started making awful noise, like with hitting pots and using other tools to make a great noise, and they started chasing the so-called serpent. So it was gonienie zmija, chasing the serpent. And I'm assuming that this king picked at the beginning was the serpent, and he was running away, and they were chasing him. But the description of the ritual is not so clear on that. So the people screamed as loud as they could, even until they had foam on their lips. So it says, the record says, and then we don't know exactly what happened to the king. Hopefully he ran away. And we only know that in the end, at the end of the ritual, people came back to the fire and formed the circle again. That's 1908. Yeah. There was also a ritual on April 14th for Saint Jeremiah in Serbia and Bulgaria to call rain by chasing the serpents away. And it was done by boys, girls, and young couples. They performed ritual songs and rang special bells to chase the serpent away, or a more drastic version, they would actually kill a snake with a special ritual tool or with ritual fire. There was another ritual in Serbia. It was done by the sacred oak of the village. There usually was like the most beautiful, the oldest chosen tree as the sacred one in the village, and it was even marked with special symbols or a rope around it to mark it as a sacred tree. And there the offerings would happen, and the gatherings and so on. I'm sorry, now my heating system is very loud all of a sudden. Okay, it's over. So where were we? Yeah, so girls adorned the oak with flowers, asking for rain to make the fields fertile. Then a chosen man, probably a married man, because it says it was like a head of a household, performed a sacrifice of a ram. In Macedonia, it was a bull. There was a sacrificial table, and there were branches under it that were set. They were like branches of a tree that the lightning does not strike. This is a bit vague, but I suspect it's hazel because it's what used to be believed and used as something of this power in Slavic tradition, as far as I know. If you know something more, please let me know in the comments. And then the sacrificial blood poured to a hole under the oak. So there was like a special hole dug for the sacrificial blood. And the people ate the meat of the ram or the bull. And in Serbia, there was also like a round ritual pastry. And they shared the meal through this ritual, also strengthening the bonds of the community. It seems to me that people prayed to Pierun to make sure he will give the fields enough rain, and they did it on a regular basis. They also supported him in his role by symbolically defeating the serpent, who was the one who held the waters captive. And it was done to ensure the natural cycle of the year. However, sometimes there came drought, and it was like emergency. For emergency times, there was another deity that people would turn to, and I will talk about her in the next part of the video, and also about the rituals for calling up the chthonic powers. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please write them down. I will be happy to read them. Have a lovely day. Bye.